welcome all to today's session, Build For Bharat. Headstart is the largest and oldest startup community present in over 25 cities and in Finland and Germany. We've completed 15 years. We run various initiatives related to startups such as one-on-one mentorship sessions from domain experts, help starters raise funds through investor circle. Our offline sessions that are very famous, that are Startup Saturdays, also support incubators and accelerators across the country. In basically, we just help startups and entrepreneurs of India shine. Today is the day 2 of Startup September. Startup September is a month-long celebration of the startup ecosystem, for the ecosystem and by the ecosystem. We are running a bunch of events across various sectors like SaaS, FinTech, EdTech, sustainability through various sessions like panel discussions, cohort-based courses, CXO talks, accelerator programs, and many more of those. And this will lead to everyone coming down under one roof to the Headstart Summit, that is the HSX, that is happening on 15th of October in Bangalore. I will also quickly put the link over here to refer to the Startup September website to know more. So everyone of participants over there, I've just, anything related to Startup September, you can find that in this website here. So I'm Ruchi Vora. I'm the program manager here for the Strategic Partnerships and Innovations Hub at Headstart. Headstart, with its presence in over 25 cities, is proud to say that we see that the startup ecosystem beyond the major cities. We believe that there are a lot of hidden gems in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. We also launched the Bharat Pitchathon to empower the regional ecosystem. We also ran an accelerator program for internet connectivity that strives to give internet connection to every corner of India. This event, Build For Bharat, is with the makers who are building India's, inclusive future. Being an Indian, we all should believe that making an immense contribution to an increase in the production along with the consumption of local products has become our responsibility. So today, we have a wonderful set of speakers who have been working towards the same. We have Ms. Kajal Malik, who is a co-founder and CSO of PickMyWork. We have Mr. Rajat Jain, who is the founder and managing director of Sunforce Technologies. And we have Dr. Aravind, who is the CEO of Deshpande Startups. A very great welcome to all the speakers here. Thank you for joining. We're just looking forward to have a very casual, nice discussion about, the Build For Bharat over here. So I would like, here to start with you, Kajal. Maybe, you could help us introduce yourself and tell us about your journey and perspective of building a Bharat here.
Right. So I'm just gonna, go back to probably my education. So I was a simple graduate, electronics and communications graduate of the recession times, because at that point of time you could not choose CS and IT. So I had to choose electronics instead. So I graduated from NIT Kurukshetra in about 2012. I was a PlaceCom member there. I joined Samsung. Samsung was a great experience, but then I realized that maybe marketing में मेरा ज़्यादा मन लगेगा. So I gave CAT, and I was lucky enough to crack CAT in the first go itself. And post which I completed my MBA from FMS in 2015. FMS in FMS as well, I joined the PlaceCom, which is the placement team which takes care of placing the entire batch, talking to the companies, ensuring that enough companies are coming to place the entire batch, right? So that was the responsibility. Though I finished my education and joined the Mahindra Group as their group in their group management cadre, I realized that it was not very fulfilling for me as a person. Though I was learning a lot, I realized that probably something which I could create and really believe in is going to be a little more satisfying for me. So PlaceCom was that one thing that was like a common connect. I could see in NIT Kurukshetra how poorly placements are run in India. I could see that in FMS how poorly placements are run in India. So me with my batchmate Vidyarthi, we wanted to change the way placements run in India. And the third co-founder Utsav, who was graduate from IIM Ahmedabad 2017, he joined us. For 2 years, tier 1, tier 2 institutions in the country, they really loved our product, and they were happy to pick up a product which could digitize the way placements is done in India, and we were very happy. And the moment we started going on to, tier 3, tier 4 cities, we realized that unfortunately, the placements in these cities and colleges in these cities have is about 20% of the total batch. And unfortunately, even the delta change that you feel that a placement solution can make is not enough for those colleges. So while we were talking to the students in those colleges, while we were talking to the students in those colleges, we realized that a lot of these people were very happy to actually stay in their own cities. They don't really want great placements outside in Delhi or Bangalore or Mumbai. They don't want that 50k job. They're happy with something which is worth 25k in their own city. So that was a very huge insight for us at that point of time. And we felt that with Riculta, which was our previous startup, we could make an X amount of change. But at that point of time, we started thinking about a bigger change that we could make if we could target these people who are underemployed and unemployed in India and are looking for work in their own cities, who are not really looking to migrate. So while we started working on this in 2019, the pivotal moment for us actually came in about 2020 when COVID hit, and a lot of people were actually migrating back to their own cities. So the fact that work was available to them in their own cities and they don't have to be jobless meant a lot. And so these 2 years actually saw very good growth for us with respect to what my current startup is, which is PickMyWork. So PickMyWork is a startup which provides people the opportunity to earn money by picking up simple tasks. It could be merchant acquisition for Google. It could be seller acquisition for Flipkart. It could be restaurant acquisition for Swiggy. I'm just giving examples here. So this is how people being in their own city doing these simple tasks could earn money. There are people who are earning as much as 40-45k a month. There are people who are happy earning just 500 rupees a day on the app and are just happy with that. So these are the kind of people that we have on the platform. Our major focus is actually on tier 2, tier 3 cities in India. And we've actually started venturing in a few tier 4 cities as well, and we are working with a huge span of brand names in fintech sector and in pharma tech sectors. The plan for them is to digitize the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and they're doing it via the people who are on our platform. So this is a little bit about me and about PickMyWork.
Very interesting. That was very interesting. I will now move to Rajat. Rajat, we would like you to introduce yourself, and also tell us like what really inspired you to build Spandan and what drives you every single day to keep scaling it.
Okay. Thanks, Ruchi. Hi everyone. So I work in biomedical sector, medical devices, and I'm based out of Dehradun. So I started as a fresh college graduate. इंजीनियरिंग कर ली क्योंकि लोगों ने बोला कि बहुत स्कोप है इंजीनियरिंग कर लो. सो आई एम अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ पीपल्स रिकमेंडेशन एक्चुअली. सो किसी ने बोला कि सिविल इंजीनियरिंग तो एवरग्रीन ब्रांच है, उसमें तो जरूर करनी चाहिए आपको इंजीनियरिंग, एंड दिस इज हाउ आई लैंडेड इनटू द सिविल इंजीनियरिंग. सो आई स्टार्टेड माय जर्नी इन 2012, लैंडेड इनटू दिस सिविल इंजीनियरिंग. एक साल के बाद समझ आया कि नहीं, ये तो मतलब काफ़ी बड़ी मिस्टेक कर रहा हूँ, शायद इसके लिए नहीं बना हूँ. चेंज किया मैंने खुद का डिसीजन लेके. आसमान से टपका खजूर पे लटका. आई चेंज टू मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग. So this is how this whole journey started. I was building race cars when I was in college, and entirely different from what my faculties used to teach me. So built almost 6 cars. Tried different domains, ATV to solar vehicles to race cars. So while I was building these cars, किसी ने बोला कि रिसर्च बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छे से करोगे तो ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा, फॉरेन यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशन मिल जाएगा. एंड आई वाज वेरी फैसिनेटेड अबाउट इट. सो मैंने रिसर्च फोकस होना शुरू कर दिया. आई पब्लिश्ड अबाउट लाइक 10-12 पेपर्स ड्यूरिंग माय ग्रेजुएशन. इतना सब करने के बाद मुझे समझ आया कि नहीं, ये सब तो मतलब ठीक है, करने के लिए अच्छा है. एंड एक्सपेक्टेशंस बहुत ज़्यादा थी, बट as Kajal said, I was not fortunate enough to have somebody like Kajal in my college to help me with my placement. So I was unplaced. So this is when I started Sunfox कि मुझे लग रहा था कि घर तो नहीं जाना चाहिए and I'm coming from a very humble background. So मुझे घर जाके खेती नहीं करनी थी. That was my inspiration to start this company. So what we do at Sunfox, we started as a medical device research and development company. Since I'm born and brought up in a very small village, and I've seen all my life that it's very common for the people to ignore the heart attacks. And people know that मतलब हम बहुत कॉमन सुनते हैं ये चीज़ कि वो रात में ठीक सोए सुबह नहीं उठे, या जब उनको चेस्ट पेन हुआ जब तक हम हॉस्पिटल लेके जाते ही और शी वाज नो मोर, या फिर हम कहते हैं कि उनको सीने में हल्का सा दर्द हुआ, हमने सोचा गैस है. And if you look at the rural population, so more than 70% of the deaths, total number of deaths happening, are actually due to heart attacks. If I look at the global landscape or the Indian landscape, so WHO says कि इंडिया में हर 4 में से एक मौत आज भी हार्ट अटैक से होती है. So क्यों होते हैं इतने हार्ट अटैक्स ज़्यादा? So that was a concerning point for us. So this is when we started Sunfox and building products like which are portable, affordable, and frugal. That too for the last mile. So the idea was how we can simplify the expensive, advanced healthcare equipments, and we can commoditize these equipments. We can democratize the whole scenario and end-to-end thing. So when we deep dive, we got to know that the basic primary equipments which are used to diagnose a heart attack has been developed and invented 100 years ago. बट आज भी वो सारे इक्विपमेंट्स या तो सिर्फ हॉस्पिटल में हैं या डायग्नोस्टिक सेंटर पे हैं. So whenever somebody is having this kind of issues, they always reach out to their neighbor doctor, the corner clinic, or that family doctor, right? So 95% of the population of these clinics, doctors, and the family doctors around us do not have access to these monitoring equipment which are required for a patient. And ideally, if you want to save a life you want to save a patient who is having a heart attack, so you should be ideally taking that person within 60 minutes to a cath lab where a cardiac procedure can be done, or you can monitor the patient, get to know what is the issue, and then you can solve for that, right? So but that was the issue. So and in India there are only around 700 cath labs. We have more than 700 districts. So मोटा मोटा हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक कैथ लैब है. तो अगर मेरे गांव से या आपको जस्ट फॉरगेट अबाउट टीयर 1, अगर आपको सेमी अर्बन किसी लोकेशन से भी या पेरिफेरल लोकेशन से भी अगर किसी को हॉस्पिटल जाना है तो आइडली टेक्स मोर देन एन आवर to reach out to the hospital. So we thought this is a problem which is required to be solved, and it seems to be the biggest healthcare issue. This is when we started, and we developed a breakthrough innovation which is called Spandan. So as the Spandan name says, Spandan means heartbeat. So we monitor for the heart, we diagnose almost every possible heart attack which can be visible through non-invasive method. Okay, and you've non-invasive method you can use this device, and you can monitor all those heart attacks, abnormal heart, just from the smartphone without a doctor. That's what we do. So it's a device which is smaller than a smartphone, and you can which is smaller than a matchbox. Actually, you can keep this device inside a matchbox. It weighs only 12 gram, and no expertise is required. No battery is required. You don't have to charge the equipment. You don't have to maintain the equipment. Just plug to your phone, test it out, and it will give you the complete insight of the heart. Uh, I'll just share one story. Like we all know Kedarnath, right? So Kedarnath mein the pilgrims have to trek to almost 20 kilometers in order to reach the temple. हर साल वहाँ पे बहुत सारी डेथ्स होती थी. तो वी थॉट लेट्स ट्राई इट आउट व्हाटएवर वी आर बिल्डिंग, वेदर इट वर्क्स और नॉट, बिकॉज वी वर इन द process of self exploration and doing the trials and field testing. So this year in the first 2 months of commencement of this yatra, there has been 107 casualties due to heart attacks. 160 डेथ हुई हार्ट अटैक्स की वजह से. After 2 months, when we saw these concerning numbers and we are in the home state, so we thought let's do something. We deployed a couple of our people to for the relief and for the early diagnosis, and we tried preventing the heart attacks. Okay, the numbers are amazing. Which so in first months 107 deaths happened. In a recent 2 months, only 2 deaths happened. So that's what we are trying to do. Yeah,
that's lovely. That's great. And I love your introduction. I think every second person could connect to it, that you started with something and then you ended up doing, what you like, what you feel is, really going to work out for you. I'm that one person too. I just started somewhere and I'm right here, taking care of Headstart, and it's an amazing place. Thank you so much, Rajat, for that introduction. We'll move on to Mr. Aravind sir. Aravind sir, we'd like to introduce, you'd like to introduce yourself and all about Deshpande startups. We know you've been running various programs in Hubli and beyond Hubli. Would you like to, throw some light on it also?
Absolutely, Ruchi. Headstart is our partner, proud partner. So let every audience know that Deshpande Startups and Headstarts work very, very closely. Thank you for your support and entire team support. What an inspiring journey, entrepreneurial journey of Kajal and Rajat. It just gives us that tremendous hope and possibility, not only for India but for Bharat. And Ruchi, what we do is when we have entrepreneurs like Rajat and Kajal, they need to be nurtured and they need to be accelerate their growth. This is where Deshpande Startups comes into the picture. So Deshpande Startups is very, very unique in that sense, because if you look at our ecosystem, startup ecosystem, predominantly this ecosystem exists in metro cities like Bangalore, NCR and Mumbai, and then now we see Hyderabad, Pune and other things. But you will be surprised that more than 40% of the registered startup, they are from tier 2, tier 3. And hardly there is an ecosystem for entrepreneurs who want to, get access to the startup ecosystem. So Deshpande Startup is based out of Hubli, and this was founded by none other than a legend in startups, Dr. Gururaj Deshpande. Fondly, he's called Deshpande, one of the most successful Indian American entrepreneur in the world, and series of very successful startups turned investment or investor, and now he's a philanthropist. Most of his time today goes into the philanthropic work. What we do in Deshpande Startups is we run series of programs. We have Yuva Entrepreneurship program for the students, and then we have pre-incubation program, we have incubation program, we have acceleration program. And along with the program, we offer entire ecosystem support. If any entrepreneur or founder needs investment, so we have investment support. We have some of the best mentors from India and from around the world. So we have one of the best state-of-the-art makerspace. So we call it Infinity Studio, so that we can convert ideas into the products and many more. Ecosystem support that entrepreneurs get. So we have nurtured around 300 plus startups, very, very unique startup. Some of the startups have captured 30% of the market share in the world. And some of the young student entrepreneurs have created a headphone which has a better sound quality than the best in the world. And this is happening, by the way, in Hubli, not just in Bangalore. So this is where we are. And just to introduce myself, I'm a physicist by training. I did my PhD in physics, went abroad, worked in the industry like GE, Honeywell, and Reliance Industries. Then I got into World Bank, advising nations, then worked with UNIDO in United Nations, worked with many policy, education. I started India's first MBA program on innovation, entrepreneurship, so on and so on. But today, I'm here to see that we build entrepreneurs who can solve the problems of Bharat or create entrepreneurs from Bharat, not only for India, but for the world. So let me stop here, Ruchi. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Aravind sir. I would say yes, Deshpande Foundation has been a great partner to Headstart as well, and we really enjoy, collaborating with you and partnering with you. Thank you so much. I will just move on, try to just pick up few questions, random questions. I will, go ahead with Kajal again. Kajal, what was that trigger moment that made you and your co-founders excited about bridging urban India product to rural Bharat through gig workers?
So like I was actually mentioning in my introduction also. So in India, the tier 1, tier 2 campuses, which we were trying to digitize through, Recalta, our previous startup, they're just handful in number. They just are probably 50 to 100. And from that, we had about 50 colleges already on the platform. So the whole point of starting up, most of the entrepreneurs, they have a vision, and they want to achieve that vision. They want to make a change, right? But when your target group is limited to just, unfortunately, 100 colleges, there's only so much change that you can make, and that also is a very small delta. So only when we started talking to tier 3, tier 4 colleges, and those were, outside these tier 1 cities, तब हमें realize हुआ कि अगर कोई impact बनाना है, उसके लिए हमें we'll have to look a lot beyond whatever we were doing. We were lucky enough to see Recalta, our previous startup, to its own conclusion, and then realize that there's this time when we all had our last drink, and we weren't sure that Recalta could scale up beyond X number. But then this insight was something that stayed with us, and we realized that with the insight that I talked about, कि लोगों को अपने सिटी में रह के वो कम सैलरी लेके काम करने के लिए रेडी हैं. That stayed with us. We thought how we could actually convert it into something much bigger. Unfortunately, when we met them, we also realized that they're very they're not employable. They're not ready, right? कोई कंपनी उनको तभी उठा नहीं लेगी जिस हालत में वो है. उनको थोड़ा ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा. So we wanted to create something which could, through an app we could train them. It wasn't a training that would be, that would take about days. It could be done in a few hours, and with practice you become perfect, right? That's what sales is about. Sales, the nature of sales is repetitive, and the gig work that we provide on PickMyWork is sales, right? So you learn as you start doing. पहला नहीं होगा, दूसरा नहीं होगा, 10th पे आप हो जाओगे, 10th पे आप सेल कर लोगे, उसके बाद you'll do much better on a daily basis. That's the nature of sales. So we after having our last drinks, we continued coming to the organization, meeting each other, and then we decided that let's try to do this pilot with an organization. We got with a big organization, we got to do a small pilot, and wo chote pilot we did it in tier 2, tier 3 cities in Rajasthan and UP, and unke liye humne sales kiya tha in these cities, and the pilot was a huge success. And despite 2020 pandemic, we realized that while people were migrating back to their own cities, right, tab to though they could not go outside the house and do sales, but the moment cities opened, people were flocking and working. They wanted the money, there was hunger, and we could see how it was working. So if I have to talk about that pivotal moment, it was talking to our existing set of clients to realize that the impact that we're making is currently too small, and there's so much more that can be done in India. Itna zyada potential hai country mein. If you just look, you'll find it. So we thought, okay, let's look at underemployed and unemployed people in the country, and let's give them a chance. And that's how those 2 years, two and a half years have been for us. Currently there are about 300k downloads of the app, and about 10,000 people get paid on a monthly basis. So that is from zero to in 2.5 years to this, we feel extremely happy, and I'm sure there's a long way to go, because India is that way a land of opportunity. But abhi, matlab,
Yes.
it was somewhere in the journey, basically.
Yes, exactly. It's like, it's so fascinating to know, right? Sometimes like the life is actually way much more beyond just the major cities or the metro cities. You know, they're like the outside world is, I mean, the outside part of India is really like, you know, very, very smarter in that way. So lovely. Thank you, Kajal. I would actually move to Rajat now. Rajat, I would like, maybe, you know, you could share your 2 cents on the, you know, the role ecosystem enablers such as our incubators, accelerators, communities play in the journey of early stage startup like yours. And, you know, maybe like how life changed for you after Shark Tank, you know, as an individual as well as Sunfox. For everyone, you know, over here, they were a part of, you know, Shark Tank season 1, the Sunfox Technologies, the Spandan ECG devices, as you know, most of you have seen there.
Thank you so much. So when I was starting up, so after college, पहले तो to be very honest, I started a company first, और बाद में पता चला कि अच्छा इसको तो स्टार्टअप बोलता है. So this is the actual journey, क्योंकि the concept was कि थोड़ा बहुत जो भी सीखा था, डिज़ाइन करना आता था, प्रोडक्ट बनाना आता था, थोड़ा बहुत मैंने DRDO में सीखा था अपनी ट्रेनिंग के दौरान. तो मुझे काम करना था, अपने प्रोडक्ट्स बनाने थे, आइडियाज़ को इम्प्लीमेंट करना था, क्योंकि ये सीखा मैंने कॉलेज में कि 90% ऑफ द रिसर्च विच हैपन इनसाइड यूनिवर्सिटी एंड द रिसर्च लैब्स ऑलवेज स्टे इनसाइड द लैब. वो कभी फाइनल जो उसका जिसके लिए बनाया गया होता है, जो फाइनल एंड यूजर होता है, उस तक पहुंचता ही नहीं है. एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी एज अ स्कॉलर और द रिसर्चर्स आर डूइंग इनसाइड द लैब्स. तो the idea was how I can do something, or how can I build an infrastructure जहाँ पे अपने काम को end user तक पहुँचा भी पाए. So this is how my journey started. So as the situation is same for all tier 2, 3 entrepreneurs. यहाँ पे लोगों को पहले तो ये समझाना बहुत मुश्किल होता है कि what an startup is, अगर खुद समझ भी लिया तो, और उसके बाद फिर resources ढूंढने होते हैं. So unlike other tier 1 startups where you have to utilize the resources, here you have to build your resources first and then you have to enjoy those resources. So that was the journey. So when I started, so there has been a significant contribution of startups. So I was an entrepreneur who took help of about 5-6 incubator at a time. So जो जहाँ मिल गया, जिसने बोला कि इतना मदद कर सकता हूँ मैं. So this is how I was like कि ठीक है, आप भी मदद कर दो, आप भी कर दो, और आप तो कर ही दो. So this is how my journey has started. So there was an incubator which was starting up when I started this company in Dehradun. So at Graphikira. So there I started my journey. वो लोग space देते थे. There were there is another incubator, Will Grow Innovation Foundation, वो mentor करते थे. There's another incubator, IIIT Hyderabad. They used to help throughout the product development phase and getting us the people. Then there were other incubators as well who used to help us. So I've been a great you can say utilizer of all of these resources, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि उसके बिना तो बिल्ड करना उन लोगों के लिए, स्पेसिफिकली उन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए जिनको खुद कुछ नहीं आता है, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट. सो दीज रिसोर्सेज एटलीस्ट कैन हेल्प यू बिल्ड what you are thinking about, or at least validate करने में तो मदद कर ही सकते हैं. I have been an amazing beneficiary of Headstart Network Foundation. So when I got introduced to Headstart in 2019, तो उस टाइम बहुत अर्ली स्टेज में थे, प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च भी नहीं किया था. आई मेट Headstart टीम and this is when this journey started. So community से इतना कुछ मिला है. I got first investment through HS only. So network में किसी से मिला, उन्होंने किसी से मिलाया, उन्होंने किसी से मिलाया, तीनों को कभी physically नहीं मिला. Then they introduced to somebody, the fourth connection, right? उनसे भी नहीं मिला कभी आज तक भी, और they invested basically just over few calls. So this is how the community has helped me throughout the process. कुछ भी हो, कैसे भी हो, किसी भी point पे करना हो, this is where I have learned. सो पीयर टू पीयर नेटवर्क जो एक्चुअली मैंने एंजॉय किया है किसी भी इंक्यूबेटर का या कम्युनिटी का, दिस इज एक्चुअली बेटर देन रियल टाइम मेंटरशिप और दैट हैंड होल्डिंग कि आपको कोई स्पून फीडिंग कर रहा है, उससे बेटर रहता है आप पीयर टू पीयर लर्निंग कर लो। शार्क टैंक पे आने के बाद ही एक्चुअली कहानी बदली है। सो बिफोर शार्क टैंक वी वर लाइक अहेड ऑफ द फ्यूचर। लोगों को प्रोडक्ट समझाने में बड़ा फाइट था, क्योंकि लोगों को लगता है कि भाई एक ECG की, इलेक्ट्रोकार्डियोग्राम की या कार्डियक असेसमेंट की घर पे क्या ज़रूरत है। अगर किसी को आप बोलो कि आपको चेस्ट पेन हो रहा है, जाओ आप ECG करा लो, तो देयर इज सो मच रेजिस्टेंस कि नॉर्मल गैस का ही पेन तो है, गैस की दवाई खा लूंगा ठीक हो जाएगा, व्हाई डू यू वांट मी टू गो फॉर अ कार्डियक असेसमेंट। एंड कार्डियक असेसमेंट और स्क्रीनिंग इज समथिंग व्हिच पीपल यूजुअली गो once they have some strong palpitation or something like that, or into after 50s or that kind of age group, but उससे पहले तो इग्नोर कर देते हैं पूरा का पूरा, और तब तक लेट बहुत हो चुका होता है। सो शार्क टैंक के बाद हम लोगों ने ये जो मैसेज था ये अच्छे से कम्युनिकेट कर दिया लोगों को। सो on the month when we featured on Shark Tank, so since then, like it's been 8 months now, we have grown at least 4x in the team, like team size, 10x in the revenues, or 10x in the production as well, और we have been able to communicate to the people, so लोगों को समझ आने लग गया कि अच्छा ठीक है, this is something we needed, and that story which we were communicating to the people, it was very effective. So the life has completely changed after that. उसके बाद तो मतलब ऐसा हो गया है कि अभी किसी को बताने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है कि this is what we are building, and now people are coming to us. So I was talking to my business team yesterday. Somebody told that Indian Army was using my product, and they came to us after using it for a few months, and then they say, hey, we have used your product, we loved it, now we want to partner with you. And then there was some top research institution in the country. They came to us and said, hey, we got your device through some reference, we have already used it, it works well, now we want to do these things here. So instead of pushing the product, it has been become a pull for us. तो अभी हर कोई आता है और they need this particular product, they understand the use case. So वो मैसेज जो कन्वे करना होता है, वो स्टोरी, लाइक एज काजल सेड, सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट वही है टियर 2 के एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए, कि आप यू आर डेवलपिंग थिंग्स इनसाइड अ साइलो। तो आप बैठे हो किसी एक कॉर्नर में, व्हाटएवर वर्क यू आर डूइंग, बट जब तक आप अपने काम को दूसरों को बताओगे नहीं, उसको उन तक पहुंचाओगे नहीं, तब तक उस काम का भी कोई मतलब रह नहीं जाता है। तो एंड मुझे लगता है यही सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज होता भी है, क्योंकि वंस यू आर सिटिंग इन द मिडिल ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, तो ये चीजें ईजी हो जाती हैं आपके लिए। यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है, यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि आपका और उन रिसोर्सेज के बीच का जो लिंक है और वो जो रिस्पॉन्स टाइम है वो काफी लंबा हो जाता है। सो मीन्स यू हैव टू गो एंड फाइंड द रिसोर्सेज फर्स्ट, you are inside a different silo on an island, and then you have to go on another island to find the resources, and these resources will help you to reach out to the people. तो वो एक एडिशनल स्टेप लगता है, थोड़ा फाइट लगता है, बट अल्टीमेटली मैं ये कह सकता हूँ प्राउडली कि हाँ चीजें हो जाती हैं। ऐसा नहीं कह सकते कि टियर 2 में बैठे हैं तो नहीं होंगी, क्योंकि जब हम लोगों ने शुरू किया तो इतना पुल था लोगों का कि नहीं, आप डीप टेक में काम कर रहे हो, मेडिकल डिवाइस में काम कर रहे हो, हार्डवेयर बना रहे हो, तो देहरादून में तो होगा ही नहीं, या तो बेंगलोर आ जाओ या बॉम्बे आ जाओ, या एटलीस्ट और भी कहीं नहीं जाना तो दिल्ली तो चले ही जाओ। तो बट मुझे लगता है कि यहाँ पे रहना ही एक रीजन था कि वी सर्वाइव्ड, अदरवाइज दिस मार्केट इज कॉल्ड ग्रेवयार्ड. So there are very few people who are actually surviving into the hardware domain, that too specifically medical devices, without too much fund. We bootstrapped till we launched the product. तो प्रोडक्ट हम लोगों ने रिवेन्यू पहले बनाया, फंडिंग बाद में उठाई, सो विच इज रियली टफ फॉर द हार्डवेयर, यू नो. सो उसका रीजन यही है कि अगर आप टियर 2 किसी उसमें बैठे हो तो बहुत आसान है सस्टेन करना, सर्वाइव करना. तो मतलब एंड always good for R&D. You are very lean on the cost, you know, you can retain people for the longer time. There is you get more footage in your ecosystem because अच्छा काम करने वाले 2-3 लोग ही होते हैं, so that's another advantage. So in tier 2, I find government is very helpful because of these upcoming policy changes. So अगर आप कुछ कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे तो rather than a mature ecosystem वो support भी आपको मिल जाता है. So overall it's a good experience and I don't feel any difference कि जो मैं कर पाता शायद अगर tier 1 में होता तो.
So yes, it's so proud to know, even the Indian Army is reaching out to you, the product is recognized, and and here we at Headstart, a lot of us have also tried and tested your device, and it really works. We're really proud that you make this device. And also, this incubators, accelerators, communities do play a very important role in the life. Once you get in over there is when where you're lagging behind. They give you the right, path to take in. They clear a lot of confusions of yours. So speaking of that, Aravind sir, so Deshpande Foundation has been one of the pillars of the Indian innovative ecosystems. So maybe just tell us how you see the innovation ecosystem, from the eyes of tier 2, tier 3 cities in India.
It's a brilliant question. So if you listen to what Rajat said, this is the reality of entrepreneurs in tier 2, tier 3 cities in India, because entire focus is in metro cities like Bangalore or like Chennai. So our founder, he said, can we build an ecosystem? I'm using the word ecosystem, not like Rajat said, right? You go to one incubator for some access, go to another incubator for product, third incubator for investment, fourth. So we said, can we combine everything in one place and offer that entire ecosystem? If an entrepreneur or a founder comes into our ecosystem, he doesn't or she doesn't have to go anywhere. So that's with which we started this ecosystem. And Deshpande Foundation has invested 400 crore rupees in Hubli. It's not a small money in terms of financial investment. We have 1 lakh square feet of a space. Again, as I said, we have products, mentors, investments, and everything under one roof. So, but if you look at entrepreneurs from tier 2, tier 3, their needs are different, Ruchi. So we have to be, so the way we work with them is like a co-founder or companion, because we start with founder and founder's mindset. I will give an example. In tier 2, tier 3, suppose we give a 10 lakh prototype grant to an entrepreneur, he will give us a budget of 7 lakh 625 rupees. And if you go to, Bangalore entrepreneur, he will talk only $1 million. 10 lakhs for him is very, very small. So what is needed? First step is work with entrepreneur and work on their entrepreneurial mindset. They are entrepreneurs. They are entrepreneurial. Just they need nurturing that part. The second is, entrepreneurial journey is not easy. It goes through its own cycle of ups and downs. I mean, I have never seen a beautiful entrepreneurial journey. Someone thinks of an idea, builds a product, and then the product becomes $1 billion product. It doesn't happen. So we work with an entrepreneur even to an extent that it's like a buddy, extent that they share with us their personal problems, because they go through a lot of emotional issues. So you have to work with them, keep their morale, keep their momentum. There is one question here in tier 2, tier 3, someone suddenly gets a job, they want to leave and take up a job. So there is always this pressure from the family, and here is this. So that's something which we work. Our next differentiation is, we say that let's focus on market and market access. So we are not, most of our entrepreneurs, they build the product and solution not for valuation. They want to build a product and a solution which they can earn money or revenues. So most of our entrepreneurs are profitable entrepreneurs. And many times we have seen that many investors, they came to invest, they said, we don't need an investment. So because they were already a couple of 100 crore rupees, because tier 2, tier 3 startups, they focus more on the profitability, not chase the valuation. Of course, there's nothing wrong about valuation. The last big differentiation for us is we have, like any entrepreneur who comes, we give them an access to Bharat market. Because since we are foundation, we have access to, say someone wants to work in agriculture, so we have agriculture initiative, we have access to farmers, then FPOs and other things. We have a lot of micro entrepreneurs. They become market for testing the products and solutions. So we have other ecosystem partners who are in healthcare or food tech and so on. I think that's something so unique for our ecosystem. And our whole idea is, can we build this model? And once we succeed to some extent, and possibly we replicate in other cities and towns where such ecosystem requires. I'll make a last point and conclude. If you look at ecosystem in Silicon Valley or Boston, all of us have gone many times there. The epicenter of the ecosystem is that university, like Stanford University, or in Boston, it is MIT or say Harvard. But if you closely look at ecosystem in India, and particularly ecosystem in tier 2, tier 3, the epicenter, the center of gravity is that successful entrepreneur, that foundation. That foundation becomes the center of gravity, epicenter, to create that entire ecosystem. And hopefully now Thai is very, very vibrant. Now Thai is one of the top Thai centers in the world. Now we have academic institutions where entrepreneurship is very common, right? For example, in Hubli we have KL Tech University. Now they have so many entrepreneurs, and one of the entrepreneurs recently exited with 100 crore plus valuation. So I think this bringing that entire academia, experts, access to the technology, investment and capital, and being a co-founder, buddy or companion to entrepreneurs or founders of tier 2, tier 3 will make a tremendous change and tremendous impact for Bharat and building for Bharat.
Absolutely. I mean, what you said is very much bang on point. It is true that, they are the ones who are going to make a big change. But, when it comes to, tier 2, tier 3 cities, Kajal, I have one question for you when it comes to, language, the language barrier. How easy or difficult it is, building for Bharat when, conversations and transactions happen in vernacular language. And, many products in India have been traditionally been made for an urban speaking English on that way. So how are you tackling the language barriers over here?
So the good thing is, when we were making the product, we as Indians, that there's so many languages spoken in India, right? कोई consulting firm नहीं बना रही है ये, तुम खुद बना रहे हो, तुम्हें पता है क्या है. So we build the product in a way that it could support multiple languages whenever needed. Though as a startup, you can only focus on a few cities and states when you start, right? That's how you approach a problem, and then you start expanding. So शुरुआत ही ऐसे किया था जब प्रोडक्ट के बारे में सोचा था, and probably 2 to 3 years of entrepreneurship before that were helpful कि मतलब हम ये सोच सके कि शुरुआत ही ऐसे करें. But that actually is the USP now as well, because जो sales होती है वो best होती है अपनी ही language में. If I go and talk to my nearby shop and मैं उसको English में जाके बोलूँगी कि आप Google Pay for merchant app use करना चाहोगे, they English में they may or may not be interested, they may not even trust me. But if I talk in the native language, the person will at least listen to me properly and trust me a little more. Yeah. So that actually becomes the USP as well, because वो वहीं के लोग उसी language में बात करके सेल कर रहे हैं कंपनीज के लिए. एंड ये नियो बैंक ओपन करना हो गया, क्रेडिट कार्ड बेचना हो गया, सेलर बनाना हो गया बड़े बड़े फर्म्स के लिए. All of this is actually happening in the native language. So that actually becomes the USP as well. It is a challenge which has become an opportunity actually for us, if you think about it. And a lot of outsiders would look at India as something which, just because we're multilingual, we become a little difficult to tame according to them. but this opportunity or rather this challenge can, if it can be fought well, it can actually become a huge opportunity, and that is what we are trying to do as well, right? It becomes extremely important to provide the training content in the right language. It becomes extremely important to provide support to the people in the right language who are on your app. And who are getting acquired by our partners, gig workers. So un sabka support bhi in the language. So it you start small, and eventually, if your vision is towards that multilingual approach, you'll get there. Of course, when we started with 6 pin codes in Delhi, and now we are in about 120 cities, and we are present in about 5 to 6 languages. So Hindi usually works for North, West, and a little bit of East India as well. But we have decided that, the deeper we want to go into tier 3, tier 4, we'll have to, think about the version of Hindi as well, which is spoken over there, right? So वो भी हमें सोचना पड़ेगा, ये सब सोच के बनाना पड़ेगा तब.
Great. So as it said, like actually look for challenges, and that creates opportunities, and that becomes your use case for your, your startup, and that really helps. So quickly, I'll just move on to taking a few questions from our audiences. And then we'll have a closing note. So this is for you, Rajat. It's come from Shobha Ankita. She's asking, what are your learnings from the lab to market phase of your product, given that it is the science first?
So सबसे ज़्यादा mistakes हम लोगों ने actually lab to market में ही किए, क्योंकि what happens, there is no strict you can say rules or regulations when you actually try to take a product from lab to the market, especially when it is a science first product, and medical का touch आ जाता है तो और भी complications होते चली जाती हैं साथ में. So हम लोगों ने पहला प्रोटोटाइप बनाया 2017 में, 2017 I remember we had our first prototype in our hand, और हम लोगों को क्या लगता था कि this is the amazing thing, it works really well और ये तो मार्केट जाएगा. And we actually took 3 years in the exploration and building the different generations or the variants of the good to go product. So there has been a lot of learning from the market and from the mentors. People said that there is a very thin line between building a perfect product or a fit product which can go to the market, market fit product. So किसी ने बोला कि टेक तो कभी सेटिस्फाई होगी ही नहीं. आप मतलब अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी बना रहे हो, हार्डवेयर बना रहे हो, इस तरह का प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हो, तो एज अ टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट, एज अ डेवलपर आपको कभी सेटिस्फैक्शन आएगा ही नहीं. एंड यू कैन कीप इम्प्रूविंग योर प्रोडक्ट टिल इटर्निटी. तो मतलब मार्केट में लेके जाओ, वहाँ से सीखोगे. बट मुझे ये समझ आया कि देर आर डिफरेंट स्टेजेस where we should focus rather than introducing the product to the market, which will eventually help you in go to the market only. So what worked for me is like you develop a prototype, do the alpha like which is inside the laboratory, make it fully functional, which can be used by a person, compliance ready and everything. When you take it to the beta mode, do a limited launch where you necessarily don't have to do the toolings or don't plan for the mass production or something like that. We used to produce 50 units in-house with our hand prototype models, and we used to give away to the doctors, and then we wanted them to use it actually. So the product which you see in the final shape and size, it is actually the 4th generation of the product, and being like have been used by the doctors for quite some time continuously. Then we again came back to the lab. Then we again iterated another version which was called like generation 2, and then again introduced another 500 units. So initially 50 we released, then we released 500 units. These 500 was also handmade, so we didn't do tooling for all of these. Then once we thought like this is like working very well, and we sold these 500 units. Okay, so उससे confidence आ गया कि what works, what doesn't work. Then उसके बाद हम लोग tooling के लिए गए, and then we started selling the product. So by the time we were doing the trial, वो first 500 यूनिट में हम लोगों ने 30 लाख रेवेन्यू किया था, और उसमें it was not only for the product but it was for the market as well. So जैसे कि से फॉर एग्जांपल हम लोगों ने प्राइसिंग कैसे सेट करना चाहिए, वो बड़ा फाइट था इस प्रोडक्ट का. So we tested our product from 5,000 rupees to 15,000 rupees, डिफरेंट प्राइस पे एक्चुअली बेचा. फिर समझ आया कि किस पे ऑप्टिमम हम लोगों को रेवेन्यू आता है और मैक्सिमम एक्विजिशन भी हम लोग करते हैं, उसके हिसाब से किया. किस फीचर को कैसे डॉक्टर रेस्पॉन्ड करता है, क्या होना चाहिए क्या नहीं होना चाहिए. बहुत बार हम लोगों को लगता है कि आप इसमें ये 5 फीचर डालो which are nice to have features, right? But the point here is this is a fight to develop a must-have product, and somebody taught me that you have to develop a product which is like a shark bite ointment rather than building a nice-to-have product. If people need your product like a shark bite ointment, then only you can actually push it in that manner. So these all things have worked for us, and I believe that all the products have its own journey. कोई भी स्टैंडर्ड जर्नी उस पर फिट होता नहीं है. हो सकता है कि इतना लंबा लाइफ साइकिल जो मेरे लिए था वो आपके लिए ना हो, या किसी दूसरे प्रोडक्ट के लिए ना हो, और हो सकता है किसी दूसरे प्रोडक्ट के लिए उससे भी लंबा हो. क्योंकि I used to get disappointed when I was comparing my product life cycle and the journey with others. So बाकी जो फाउंडर फ्रेंड्स थे जो सिमिलर प्रोडक्ट एज की अगर मैं बात करूँ, तो उस टाइम मुझे लगता था कि यार मेरा प्रोडक्ट को तो 3 साल हो गए हैं बनाए हुए, अभी भी मैं उतना इसको पुश नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ जितना कि बाकी लोग कर पा रहे हैं. बट हर एक प्रोडक्ट का अपना एक लाइफ साइकिल होता है. You have to find out your life cycle in your fashion rather than comparing it with any standard guideline. So there are no rules and regulations, just the guidelines, but you have to figure out your style.
Great, Rajat. Ankita, I hope that answered your question. I mean, I found it very insightful. I have one last question for the panelists, and that's also coming from Vinay Kumar. That was also, a part of my question agenda. Let's close up with saying, do you have, all of you, do you have any advices or tips that, for the startups that are focused on tier 2 and tier 3 cities from being trampled over by major, focused tier 1, businesses? So what's the best advice or tips you would give, for all the startups that are focused on the tier 2, tier 3 cities? We can start with you, sir.
So my experience, Ruchi, has been that there is a very big scope to develop products and solutions for the tier 2, tier 3, which we call it Bharat or non-metro region. Let me give a couple of examples, what Kajal is doing and what Rajat is doing, not only for tier 2, tier 3, but for the world. If there are ideas and there is a huge scope to work in the areas like agriculture, in the space of food and food tech. If you look at food tech alone, I'm just giving an example, 35% of the food that is produced, agri-produce, is wasted. Now, as an entrepreneur, if you can think of solving this particular problem, so and its impact is multifold. For example, if we start adding value to our, say, agri-produce, even a step, or even say, do a little bit of processing into this, the impact on the environment. For example, when we make a fruits or vegetables, when they are transported, what we are trying to transport is water. 80% of that is water, which is like environmentally not good. Second is, if we can preserve this food, look at how dealing with nutrition problem. India is 106 in the hunger index. It's a huge, big issue for nutrition. Then third is, whatever was getting wasted, now we are preserving it and using it. I can tell you that entire value chain, you take any food produce, and if you look at its value chain, I see a tremendous opportunity for entrepreneurs to solve the problem. It does not matter whether you are from mechanical engineering, mechanical space, or say AI, data, digital space, or it does not matter, or even you may have a great business model to do this. So, for example, we run a food cluster where we created a self-help group, women. What we gave them is a simple dehydration machine. And today what they are doing is they are dehydrating bananas. This part of the world, there's so much of banana that gets produced and wasted. Now, these women sitting in a village with this solution like dehydration, they are earning around 5,000 to 6,000, and we want to take this to 10,000 rupees. Just imagine the impact that we are going to create. Now, the banana, when it is dehydrated, the powdered banana is a very healthy. It is a replacement to maida. It's a gluten-free. Now, the chunks of the banana are so important that even children likes to have and chew. So our nutrition problem is solved. So I'm just giving an example what is possible and what can be done for tier 2 and tier 3. So I welcome, in fact, I welcome Kajal and Rajat to our ecosystem and see whether we can be of any help to you. But more than that, both of you can be of immense help to inspire and guide and mentor to our entrepreneurs in this part of the tier 2, tier 3 city.
Thank you, sir. I mean, some lovely stories you've told. I just want probably to say a few words. A lot of the question, from the perspective of tier 2, tier 3 startups being trampled by the bigger ones. I feel that if the idea is good, you might just become their huge competitor, because initially they're not. All of them look at tier 1 as the first market because the most of the consumption is there, right? So tier 2 and tier 3 is usually at the back burner. And either when they want to expand to tier 2, tier 3, either they look at expanding with you, right? You either become a player along with them. They would want to probably tie up with you, or they would probably want to acquire you, or there might be huge competition. Like it could be one of the three, right? These three possibilities are there. So now entrepreneurship is all about optimism. So let's just hope that the first two which are in your favor are the ones that are going to work out, right? Competition to hamesha rahega. The game of business is that competition hamesha hi rahega. So the fact that your focus is on tier 2 and tier 3 should not bother you as much. Currently, it might just become your superpower because the focus is somewhere else and you know it too.
Thank you. Lovely, Aravind. Lovely, Kajal. Like Rajat, do you have anything more to highlight? Do you want to talk about it, and then we can really have closing event for this?
So एक छोटी सी चीज होती है बस मैं क्योंकि यूजुअली क्या होता है कि सेल्फ डाउट ही सबसे ज्यादा रहता है टियर 2 3 वाले एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को. सो मैंने करके देखा है, हो जाता है. तो ये तो मैं कह सकता हूँ कि चीजें हो जाती है. डजंट मैटर कि आप कहाँ हो. अगर मैं कर सकता हूँ तो आप भी कर ही सकते हैं. तो अटेम्प्ट तो बनता है.
Thank you so much. I think I had a lovely conversation with all the three of you. I mean, it was great. It was a pleasure talking to you. It just felt like a very normal discussion, casually chatting. I hope the audience enjoyed here too. Thank you, participants, for joining in here. Thank you, Aravind. So thank you, Kajal. Thank you, Rajat. We wish you great luck in your future, and we are really glad for you to make this to the Headstart event. Thank you, audience. Please, I've sent across the Startup September website. Please log into it, to know about the future events that are coming up, and also follow our social media pages for the upcoming events. Thank you so much.
So Rajat's attempt to banta hi hai. So let's make an attempt, all of us. Thank you.